The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone. I see attendees trickling in. So we have a very good number of registrants for the show today. I'm Kiran B. Ravelli, and let's wait for just one more minute or two, just allowing everybody to join in and download the webinar plugin and get connected through audio. And I have here with me Louis Leclerc, who is the Vice President of Delivery. Louis?
Good day, everyone. Looking forward to taking everyone through our thinking here on the cloud strategy and how it fits your organization.
Right. And I'm Kiran B. Ravelli. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at ERPA, also known as ERP Analyst for a lot of you guys. So just let's give one more minute and then we can get going. So Naveen, could you please confirm if the audio is coming through fine, and you can just type in the chat message and I'll see it on my end. All right, so let's start. Again, we just a couple of housekeeping items. At any given point in time, if you have a question, please feel free to type it in the questions window. We have a policy of no questions left behind. So if we cannot answer every single question through within the time slot that we have, we will make every effort to answer them after the webinar is done. So yeah, just as you have any question that pops up in mind, please do not think we have to wait till the end. Even though this is kind of one way, we would still like to make it interactive through the questions panel. So let's take it from here. Louis?
Yes.
So, you know, we recently rebranded our company, ERP Analyst, to reflect our core values. ERPA, these four letters stand for our company's core values and represent our culture and who we are and how exactly we do things, right? So empathy, responsibility, passion, and agility. And if you talk to any of our employees or our customers, they would say these are things that they experience from us as an organization, right? So
a little bit about our practice and our company. Founded in 1999, we have customers located mainly in North America and the Caribbean. Our core areas of specialty are in the Oracle set of products with PeopleSoft, e-business, cloud applications, cloud infrastructure, as well as the Oracle database. Also the BI and big data tools is a big growing area for ERPA. And in terms of our service offerings and how we provide our model of support, we have managed services, managed hosting, and also some cloud services where we help our customers navigate through the maintenance cycles, things such as security as a service and testing as a service that helps maintain your ecosystem. Customers like us, and we're very happy to have wonderful customers, loyal customers. We are definitely one of the leaders in the market of Oracle, PeopleSoft, EBS, and cloud applications with over 500 employees that are highly experienced and most of them highly certified.
Right, so you know, we've been Oracle Platinum partners ever since. We are a PeopleSoft focused company and Oracle focused company, from inception. So, the Oracle Cloud applications, Cloud ERP, Cloud HCM, and PeopleSoft, all aspects of PeopleSoft, these are like our core service offerings. And, the fact that we grew is one, but how we grew and we consistently achieved the best places to work and everything, that's where the company core values and culture are reflected, right? So coming to the core of the presentation, so we wanted to take some time and see, what basically discuss about the dilemma of any organization as they try and evaluate where we are going with the cloud applications or PeopleSoft applications. There is a lot of buzz in the market about cloud SaaS applications. So we wanted to share some of our lessons learned and our observations with our customers and some case studies on some of the things that you hear, some of the things that you do not normally hear unless you go through a assessment phase, and what are the blind spots in this phase, right? So the theme is kind of, keeping you in the center, what is on a customer's mind when they are thinking about SaaS application. The things that come to mind are, hey, we will be on the latest technology in a SaaS application, in a SaaS world. Everything is mobile accessible and the technology is updated. We don't have to go through any upgrades, and another reason could be business transformation, that this is our opportunity to redesign how we do things. Last time around when we did this was probably to get over the year 2000 Y2K problem or some other pressing event that did not allow us to redesign our systems the way we wanted, or some people may say we have extensive customization in the system, we need to get rid of it. So not all customizations are good, not all customizations are bad. So that is another thing that's on their mind. And core competency, right? So this is another thing that we hear from our C-level partners, customers. They say, IT needs to focus on future innovation. Right now, our IT is focused on reactive maintenance, and data center is not our business. That's, we should get out of data center business, right? And financial decisions, we shouldn't be doing any major upgrades. In this day and age, all the applications should be maintained by themselves and automatically updated and upgraded. So the CFOs would like to see a consistent monthly bill and not a sticker shock when a major upgrade needs to happen. So these are all very good and valid reasons, but we also want to uncover some of the blind spots that go with the benefits. So with every advantage there is a disadvantage, and with every disadvantage there is a possibility of a unique opportunity there, right? So we wanted to navigate through some of the muddy waters and show some options that exist out there. So if we consider core competency,
some of the questions to consider in the core competency area as we go around from number 1 through 5 here is, what is your unique customer value, and how is that integrated into your technology solutions? That is important to align, as well as what distinctive business process drivers delivery for each unique value. So for each customer value that you identify, what are the distinctive business processes that get you there? Will changing the technology systems require a substantial change management? If you're considering SaaS application, will that be highly disruptive, or how disruptive will that be? Is the organization ready to a sweeping change management process or changing in how we do things? And finally, do you have access to a talent pool that will help you build the new support organization, the new way of operating? The cloud will force the organization to think differently than a traditional support model. And how are we ready to address that with our current pool of talent?
Right. So if we move on to the financial decisions, what goes on in this world, some of the blind spots to consider, right? So again, the first one is pretty obvious. Did you consider cost of implementing the new software? But then, as we go along, it gets a little more complex, right? So cost of training the organization, which is part of, the change management and whatnot. And there is a misconception that once we are on cloud, we do not need a support organization, the IT organization or a BA type of organization. But there are those things cannot be eliminated. You basically would have to rebuild those, right? So in Gartner studies are out there that say converting into monthly operational expenditures, if you compare with the ROI purely in financial terms, somewhere between 3 to 5 years, the cloud SaaS applications may become a little more expensive, right? But most importantly, the cost of manual business processes, right? So this is not measured anywhere else, and that would be a biggest blind spot in this domain. Is cloud applications by nature will come with certain set of limitations on what you can do, what you cannot do. So, and again, we will dwell into more details of some examples from our customer case studies. For some, the cloud SaaS application made perfect sense, and for some, it did not make sense. And we will go through the reasons of why it did not. So you do not want a customer or the business end users resort back to having little spreadsheets and little Microsoft Access databases sitting on their laptops or somewhere on a network drive, just because some functionality they used to have it in the old system because it was customizable, they lost it in a cloud environment. And we have a couple customers who are in that boat today. Right.
When we look at technology, we have to ask some pretty interesting questions that seem to occur naturally for some of us, but not necessarily within complex organizations. So we know that some of the cloud applications may not be at the same level of maturity than a certain coverage of current applications a customer might have. So does it have all the modules that we need, such maybe succession planning? Does it have all the functionality that we have today? And what are going to be the gaps between that functionality that we need to address, either with another application or through another method or a manual process? Do we today have access or need the access to the database? Most SaaS applications do not provide an easy access to data to interface with other systems. Do you need to perform reporting on historic data? That could be limited, as many of the SaaS applications do not allow for a lot of data conversion or historical data conversion or any at all. Is the application flexible to fit our process needs? As we grow and as we change, how are we going to be able to use the new application to tailor it to the evolving organization? If we're going to have acquisitions or other growth in certain markets or globally, is this going to be able to carry us forward? You need the ability to preserve critical customizations because these are native to the way you do business and not necessarily adopted widely in a given market. Do you have a lot of integrations with other in-house applications? We have some examples of that. SaaS applications transform the support organization from having to support a lot of the core application and daily maintenance to a variety of different integrations that need to be completed, monitored, and supported. So how many are those, and what is that going to require in terms of support?
Yeah. So guys, again, these are questions that may sound like, are we trying to recommend something against SaaS? No, we are not, because we are. The purpose of these questions is to shed some light on the blind spots, right? And we have some customers where we suggested the SaaS path, and we have some customers where we suggested, the PeopleSoft path, and probably hosting it on our end, and or in some cases hosting it on their data center and their hardware, and us providing managed services, right? But these are, the purpose of asking, these are the questions that a customer should be thinking about on themselves. in their environment. Does it make sense for me, right? Because there is no one single answer that fits everybody, right? So business transformation, usually this is a good reason why SaaS tends to be a good option for customers. So, but then in this scenario, some of the blind spot questions that customers need to be thinking about, right? Do you need a solution that has a global reach, not only a North America or Europe market in mind, but beyond that, right? So, and then, you know, uh, it is true that the cloud applications keep the application updated automatically, but then as an organization, are you ready to accept those upgrades that are performed by the cloud provider twice a year, and they give you 5 weeks of testing window, right? So does your, again, you cannot choose the timing of when that update will happen. You know, for some organizations that is perfectly fine, because their business process tends to be purely vanilla or close to vanilla. So they are able to run through the testing window in a breeze, and then say they are ready for the new release. March and September tends to be the favorite times for the SaaS applications to push their updates twice a year. So, you know, again, as a business, you guys need to look at it and see, does your operations calendar allow you to have something like that, right? Or do you need to have flexibility of when you want to apply those updates or accept those updates, right? So, in you know, in some cases, again, we will uncover these things as we go through case studies, but you know, these applications, SaaS applications, tend to have a scheduled downtime of 4 hours every week for maintenance, right? So typically it tends to be around 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. on a Friday night. For most customers, that is acceptable. For some, like we have an airline customer, you know, it's not acceptable for them, right? So, and uh, cloud applications come with some built-in audit capabilities, but then if you are like one of our other customer, the Attorney General Office of a major state, you know, they have extensive audit requirements on everything, you know, who came where, who touched what, who saw what, and who did what, right? So if you have some of those types of needs, you know, then these are the questions you guys need to be asking and thinking about, right? So the key here is, it's not one of these need to make sense to cross the bridge from on-premise to SaaS applications. It's all of them have to make sense for your organization. It cannot be just the financial decisions, or it cannot be just the core competency questions. You know, all of those have to make sense for the bridge to stay together. If not, you know, we're not saying if one of these pieces are missing, you cannot make a jump, but it will not be as rosy as one would want to be, assume it will be, right? So there will be some lost functionality, there will be some you know, retraining, and so we will actually go into some more details of case studies. So this is one of the examples of you know, it's a major sportswear company, you know, located near Seattle, and these guys are on PeopleSoft 9.0 version 853. They are our current managed services customer, meaning their application is on their hardware, but we are responsible for keeping the lights up and running, and making sure the application is available, and everything. But you know, for the most part, it is an SAP shop, except for these the very small footprint in PeopleSoft HR, right? So when we did this analysis and assessment, you know, these guys are a perfect candidate to go to cloud, right? And we help them with the transition. Um, so okay. So here is another example, right? So when we think of a university, we generally do not think about the inventory maintenance, and some of these other things. So here is where an example of, any organization's core competency is not captured in one single business process or one single application module or one single activity that they do, but it is web of lot of little things that they do. Right? So this university, and we chose an example of a customization that exists in their environment that is unlike, it does not relate to the core activity that they do. But this university happens to be a major chemical and gas distributor in the area, to Ohio and also to surrounding states. So currently all of that activity is done through PeopleSoft, right? So they have a business need where they want to sell the gas inside a tank, like liquid nitrogen or a dry ice or something, but then also collect rental on the tank itself and track the location of the tank where it is all the time. So this is something that is we actually help them develop this customization and everything. And there is another company south in Louisiana where they had a similar need. We developed a custom bolt-on for that organization, who are an offshore drilling company in oil and gas. But these types of unique business process related customizations are not doable in a SaaS application. So because of that reason, they cannot cross the bridge, right? So it's not a good candidate for cloud application. And this is another example of a biotech firm, and they do not have payroll in PeopleSoft today, and they have core HR and ESS, MSS. So we helped them with the managed projects, and we did the original implementation and several upgrades in the past, I would say 8 years. And they have a simple business process, right? And very limited customizations, and some customizations they can do away with, and some customizations that carried forward from the legacy world that are no longer relevant. These guys are a very good candidate for the cloud applications, right?
So for a major fast food chain with a significant footprint in PeopleSoft, and some of the versions not being current, is a customer today that is a managed services customer. They have their own infrastructure, and we maintain the application and support their users. They have several custom bolt-ons tailored to the type of fast food business that they do, and tailored to the different global operations where they operate. They have several ways of using the application, the way they treat incentive compensation, and other areas that are highly customized, such as delivery routes that they maintain for employees or other customer relationship purposes. There's a variety of users of all those applications. Some are franchise owners, some are direct company stores. So for all those reasons, and because of this is not, a lot of these things are part of their core competency and not offered in a SaaS application, they're today not a candidate for a cloud application.
Yeah, and this actually is a very good example of how this is like Britain trying to exit from Europe, right? So they needed to preserve their identity. It was the kind of the driver and the reason there, right? So so these guys have done some unique customizations in their system. So for example, from our lab here in Dublin, Ohio, or Columbus, Ohio, we did pretty much all projects for this customer. They are our anchor account for several years, ever since the original installation was done. So when Louis said inventory delivery routes, and a story comes to mind. So we actually did this customization for this customer that predicts the delivery route not based on the fuel efficiency of from the corporate to distribute the pizza dough or the pizza toppings and the other things to their corporate stores and franchisee stores, but it is much more complex. So within inventory, we had categorized things like pizza dough or pepperoni topping, then certain other items as category 1 or the highest priority. So any store running low on inventory for these items would automatically prioritize to the delivery truck driver, right? So from the central warehouse to the stores, so that ties directly into their core competency, right? So there are several other bolt-on customizations and customizations to the delivered process itself that make this not a candidate for cloud SaaS application, because of how intertwined, the incentive comp, for example, one of the metric is number of pizzas sold. So during the $10 pizza war, that metric shot off the roof, right? So this is another reason, right? So it's not just the what feels good, but also to dive deep into the business process and see what is unique to us, what makes our company unique in giving our unique customer value, and are we able to preserve it? Because if we are not able to preserve that one, then pretty much the other decisions are a moot point.
For a public university in Alabama, they were facing several challenges, mainly in the system reliability of their platform, being on-premise with aging infrastructure, difficult to support, and they were facing a decision to having to replace and do a refresh. Multiple applications supporting not only the back office operation, but their core operation with campus solutions. It's in the university. You cannot operate university without students, and you cannot operate university without campus, a good system to track what's going on. They are a managed services customer. We began maintaining their application on an ongoing basis, and they are now a managed hosting customer. Initially, we started stabilizing the application and the versions and took them to our managed hosting services. Our managed hosting services, for those not familiar, is where we front the relationship with an infrastructure provider. It could be a cloud, public cloud, private cloud, or even a hardware-driven type of infrastructure. It removes the need for a customer to manage the capacity management and all the other aspects of infrastructure requiring people to be up at night and doing changes on their staff, which is not a core competency. So that improved the system reliability, and there was a resistance to change any of the applications they have today to keep the stability with the operation of the university. The SaaS applications in the market are not all available at the level where they need them. So for that reason,
Oh, sorry, I was trying to do something else, answer a question here.
Because in the business transformation this would require, they are not today considering the cloud applications. However, doesn't mean they're not on the path, and they're certainly today on the cloud infrastructure. So they have one foot in the cloud, and we'll be ready to jump on the application side when those become more mature.
Right. So this is the airline company I was talking about. For these guys, the decision was quite simple. They didn't even have to go through the whole assessment process that we normally take our customers through. The scheduled downtimes were a reason enough for them not to consider the SaaS application. And not only the uniqueness of the business processes that they have with the crew scheduling and a lot of other things that go around and that require very fluid environment of very agile application and configuration needs.
However, this is a customer today that is moving toward the cloud infrastructure. They're already a managed services customer, and so they are taking a similar step to the university we just talked about in being prepared to adopt the change of not having the same resources in-house and focusing on their core competency.
Yeah. So we are for Alabama. Oh, For Alabama, the university that we were referring to, you know, for those guys, it was a lift and shift, right? So we basically took everything off of their hardware, crumbling hardware, and took it into our infrastructure. For this company, we are taking them through upgrade to host path. So, you know, their current applications are still running on their infrastructure, and we are doing their upgrades to 9.2 as we speak. And when they go live on 9.2 with the latest PUM release and everything, they will be going live on our infrastructure, and that's when the actual cutover happens. So they are in the transition of migrating to the managed hosting. Okay. So this is a Attorney General's office, another customer, another managed services customer. You know, they have a very small footprint in PeopleSoft HR functionality. You know, these guys would have been an ideal candidate for cloud, except that their audit requirements are off the roof, and the SaaS applications are not able to handle the audit requirements for you know, for this business process. And also this client has a lot of custom bolt-on modules that, you know, they would have to find other ways of delivering the functionality if they move to cloud, because those are not making the trip to cloud. Right. So we can skip a couple of these. And right, so for these guys, it was a purely financial decision, right? So when these guys were, they're not paying support dues to Oracle, so they're not in the support. So their board was tasked with identifying why, you know, basically paths to cloud was their directive. But then they were able to, it's actually published on a meeting minutes that it's a public entity, so we can always look up the meeting minutes, right? So that they said they found solution. The only reason they were considering SaaS application was financial reasons, but with the managed services that we are able to bring to the table and the system stability, they chose to opt out of transition, and they're still not paying the Oracle dues though. But they have someone else providing the tax updates, and we do not provide tax updates. We apply the tax updates that you get from either Oracle or from third party as part of our managed services, but we do not make or create tax updates. Right? So let's take a minute. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to release or ask the questions in the chat window. And I have a question about do we have access to the deck? Yes, actually we'll go further, a step further, and we will actually develop an assessment report that is unique to your organization and give it to you. So let me launch few questions on poll screen. If you can, if you guys can take a second and answer those, because that brings more context into the into the discussion, especially this being a one-way and not having an eye contact. So just wanted to see where our audience are. And
so while we're waiting for questions, what's important is we have highlighted a variety of customers who have chosen not to go to SaaS applications. It's not if our customers are going to a cloud application, it's a matter of when. And so we don't want to make it sound like it's not in the future. It definitely is in the future, but it has to be mapped carefully for each organization to not end up being too disruptive or too costly and end up feeling for our customers like they're taking a step backwards. So we work on that path, working with our customers and providing very simple assessments to determine what's the best path.
So about 60% of the attendees voted. So let me close this poll and move on to the next poll. So I'll just quickly release 2 or 3 polls and then have a couple other questions towards the end, right? Because So I have another question. It says, is there a cost for the assessment? And we have a couple flavors of the assessment, right? So the initial high-level assessment is no charge, but if you wanted to have a deep dive analysis and assessment of the business process analysis and the customization analysis, we have a lot of accelerators and tools that we have built around um, you know we can actually do those analysis and recommendations a lot faster because of the technology competency and the business process competency change management tools that we have developed over last several years, right? So if, the works kind of assessment would have a price tag, but it all depends on how many functional areas or how many modules or how many systems are currently in place.
So most of our customers start with an initial assessment where we can have a conversation and determine where you'd like to take the assessment at a high level, and as more details are needed. But these are not expensive items. This is work that we can fix price and do very fixed price, fixed time, and deliver pretty rapidly with our accelerators.
Yeah. And another question is around Hyperion. Yes, Hyperion, I mean, it basically has to go hand in hand with all of the warehouse and the ERP systems that feed data in. So yes, our assessment and hosting support capabilities and everything currently go into Hyperion, and a lot of surrounding systems, especially in case of higher education, if they have a Blackboard the software or a lot of other things that are surrounding. If somebody is trying to get rid of their data center, so we cannot simply say, oh, we will only take care of PeopleSoft, rest everything you figure it out, right? So we do support a lot of other applications.
That is why our offerings are flexible in terms of managed hosting being the infrastructure and managed services, more specifically toward the ERP applications. We, of course, have customers with a lot of other products in the landscape that ask us to manage the entire cloud relationship for all of their applications. And for other customers, we focus only on their ERP when we do the infrastructure. It varies by their ability or the desire to be in front of it.
And I see another question. It says, I missed the initial part of the webinar. Will the recording be available? Heidi, I will try my best to successfully, this session is being recorded, but barring any technology difficulties, I would be able to share the recording, or we would be able to have a session to go over, right? And it's actually very encouraging to see most customers are 8.54 or above in People Tools, because that's where you can actually gain maximum value from the continuous delivery model and the fluid interface and a lot of these other things in the 9.2, right? So let's switch back to the topic. I'm hoping you guys can see the screen now, right? So wanted to quickly show how different solutions compare. So let me use a spotlight, right? So the first column is on-premise and self-managed. This has been a traditional way of supporting PeopleSoft environments. You have your own data center or you have your own server room, and then you have your own PS admin, DBA, and technology staff to keep the lights up. So in here, the customer is pretty much responsible for all functions. Let it be the server hardware maintenance and refreshing the hardware every 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, depending on what their policies require, and keeping the operating system, infrastructure, network maintenance, and all of it, the database administration, the system admin, and application security, application development and troubleshooting, or break fix, and application testing, functional support. So all of these lie in customer's responsibility, right? So here is where, some of the customers that we looked at some case studies earlier, where we talked about the on-premise, meaning the PeopleSoft systems are in their data centers or at a partner data center of their choice. It doesn't matter to us, and they engaged us, ERPA or ERP analyst, in managed services. So here, the customer is still responsible for server hardware and hardware refresh and everything, and operating system, load balancers and patching and security patches and everything. But we are responsible for the application layer, right from the database and application and web servers and the load balancing, the capacity planning, and if it is a campus during the student enrollment, handling all the traffic and everything. In some cases, customers give us, they engage us in PeopleSoft security as service, in which case, we bring our automation and everything to the table, and we define which particular business owner owns security over a particular security role. So everything is automated. Onboarding a student or onboarding an employee or onboarding a retiree to terminations or transfers. So the entire security is automated and auditable, right? So they have an option of, this is an add-on service that they can buy, right? And application development, a lot of times in this area, they engage us as an extension of their development staff. They may have two developers on their staff, and they have a need for, they have a lot of backlog of tickets or enhancements requests or reports or, the general app dev or break fix stuff. And here is where they typically engage us in our delivery center in Columbus, Ohio, by engaging us in various combination of contract opportunities as a bucket of hours, and it is all consumption driven. So we do not bill for the time we spend downloading a software or watching a paint dry. It is purely the consumption driven. And application testing. So this is another add-on service we have, is testing as a service. So this is a very popular service offering for customers that are already on version 9.2, especially if they are using our managed services, because as part of managed services, we are not only keeping their lights up and running, but the customer also has choice of applying latest forms, the PeopleSoft updates that come 5 to 6 times a year. Usually our customers want 2 to 3 times a year be applied, primarily because of the concerns over how long it takes to do the testing, right? So we have developed a lot of testing automation in-house, and we tailor make it to support a customer's instance using their setup data, their business unit values, their department structures, and everything. And we also have a lot of proprietary, intellectual property tools, like Test Data Genie, we call it, can produce volumes of data that is real looking, with real looking social security numbers but fake, real looking names but fake, and everything. So we can use all of that to do not only the functional testing but also the performance and stress testing. So functional support is another area where they engage us in our lab services. Is if they have a specific question over say e-performance, because they only do it twice a year or once a year, go through the performance cycle, and they may not have that same level of functional expertise that we have in the lab, right? So they may say, can you help us run through this process, right? So we ride the shotgun and do it for them.
The next column is when we look at the very similar set of services, with the difference being, so for the services that we provide in terms of managed services, it is the same set of services. The two first boxes are the ones where it is a difference. This is where we take over the infrastructure. Our standard model is to go to Amazon Web Services and leverage as the market leader in public and private cloud. and we have the ability to do either. And we're an AWS partner, certified partner. We also leverage security services from Rackspace, who are also leader in their market. The reason why we do that is because they're the experts at infrastructure, they're the experts at security services, and it allows us to focus on our expertise, which is the application maintenance, and they focus on their expertise, and our customers focus on their expertise. And then finally, for customers who are ready to move on to SaaS application, well, it's a slightly different world. As you notice, there's a lot more that are controlled directly by the cloud provider, with maybe a little bit less flexibility, as we discussed, but some other benefits that come with it. And also a little bit more on the shoulders of a customer in terms of some of the other areas. We do support cloud SaaS applications in our managed services area, but generally it's more for functional support and sometimes a little bit of the integrations between the different applications.
So here is where, a significant portion of the responsibility still lies with the customer, even when you are on SaaS application. So the application security is actually much more granular, which makes it much more complex. And application development, this is a totally new skill to be developed in an organization. And testing to some extent could be reused, the testing skills that the customer has built over a period. But the functional support is another area that they need to rebuild from ground up. And we have a question here. It says, do you use a tool to manufacture data? Yes, we actually have built a tool specifically for that purpose of manufacturing test data that we use in combination with our testing as service. Right? So here at a high level comparison, SaaS applications are similar to living in a high-rise apartment building, where you really do not have to worry about whether you need an electrician or a plumber or a lawnmower. All of those services are taken care of by the apartment provider, or in this case, the SaaS application provider. And living in PeopleSoft world is similar to living in an independent home, where you have the flexibility. You can paint the walls as you choose, and you can add a deck or a garage as you choose. But it gives you a lot of flexibility. But at the same time, you have other things like you are responsible for the mowing of the lawn, or having a reliable handyman, and those things. So how do they actually play out in the specific advantages and disadvantages, right? So SaaS, you don't have to maintain any hardware, and you don't need to have any DBA staff or admin staff, because that's all taken care of by cloud. Application is automatically upgraded, even though you do not have a choice over when you want to. And it is using the latest technology with the mobile functionality and access, and monthly fees, and scalable infrastructure, right? So this infrastructure can scale up and down. And a good example would be, if you're a restaurant planning a seating capacity, most of the time the restaurant is idle, right? So only except for lunch hours and dinner hours. So the capacity of the restaurant seating is not scaling up and down with demand, right? But with SaaS applications, they can scale up or scale down. The backend resources, we do not know how many resources they are adding, but they are scalable. That is something that we do know. But on the disadvantages, you do lose the core value related customizations, and you have an initial large capital expenditure for implementation and limited global solution. You do not have access to database. It's not maybe, could be, no, you do not have access to database. The only way you access data is through run a report and export it to spreadsheets, or access the data through APIs. You do not have choice over the updates or when the updates are made. And the product maturity in some modules is very good. In some modules, such as succession planning and some other functional areas, are still not there yet. And the training and change management that needs to happen, right? On the PeopleSoft side, ironically, the advantages are all the disadvantages of SaaS, right? So you get to preserve the custom business value related customization, and we do recommend customers getting rid of customizations that are not needed, but also preserve the customizations that do make sense, right? And it has a global solution, and they do have a continuous delivery model, meaning the 9.2 version customers can choose to accept or download and apply the updates, 5 to 6 times a year. And you do not need to go through another round of training and change management, and it's like getting a tooth pulled. You can avoid that, but it does have, you have to maintain the infrastructure and expensive hardware and long implementation cycles, and you are limited by the scalability of hardware you currently have. So what we did as a solution is we took advantages of SaaS and advantages of PeopleSoft, and we call it our managed cloud hosting solution. So we take care of any and all hardware maintenance and infrastructure maintenance, so you don't have to, and you don't have to maintain any admin staff. That is something bundled in our service. And applications are automatically upgraded, meaning you choose when you want to upgrade, but we will apply all the pumps for you, and we will do the testing as service for you. And your users would still have to go through and do some level of testing, but most of the testing can be automated, which takes away the biggest pain point in adopting the new updates that come out. And we do offer monthly subscription fees, and it is a scalable infrastructure, meaning the higher ed university that we were referring to, during an enrollment window, they have maybe close to 4,000 to 5,000 students hitting their web servers over a week, and we do have proprietary intellectual property put in place that spins up additional web servers and additional app servers in response to the demand, and then it scales it back down when the demand goes down to bring it back to steady state, right? So we can actually demo it in real time, and then you get to keep all the other PeopleSoft related advantages that you currently enjoy, right? So this is the I guess recap of what differs in each of these 4 options. So
this is the process we were talking about earlier. It's what we call our guided value map. Is the process, the assessment we go through with you. There's different flavors of cloud out there. We highlighted some of them today. There's cloud infrastructure, cloud applications. Those are the pure SaaS applications, and cloud services. Examples of that would be testing as a service or security as a service. It's not if, but rather how and when you'll go to the cloud, any flavor of these clouds, as more and more customers are abandoning infrastructure behind. We're partners who are invested in the future of cloud on behalf of our customers, not on behalf of the vendors. And we can be, and we are, a trusted advisor on that path to the cloud, looking at your entire landscape, all the pieces that go with it, and helping you map that destination to ultimately be on a fully cloud-enabled environment.
Okay. So here is where some of the deep dive things are. We actually we will send this handout to you. I'm not going to read every one of these bullet points for you guys, but it does highlight some of the other things that we talked about, like what you can do in which scenario, right? So do you get to preserve or bolt-on applications, or is the application customizable? So you can see in SaaS versus non-SaaS, and in each version of non-SaaS or PeopleSoft. So
these are basically the red flags or the blind spots that might occur as you look to your path to the SaaS applications. When there is a red light, and that's a big deal for the organization, that means it's going to be a big challenge in that transition. So there's several lists there of all those attributes on the left that we'll allow you to evaluate briefly and very quickly what would be the impact on us of such an item not working in the exact same way on a SaaS application.
Actually, let me launch one poll question before we go to the remaining questions. So guys, if you guys can please take 30 seconds, and as we are approaching our time, we want to move fast, and this is the last question that I have. Right, and let's give maybe 5 more or 10 more seconds. Actually, I should give enough time to read the options, right? Because the options on this question are a little longer and not quite obvious. Yep, so I see 2 major trends coming along. One in the system reliability aspect, which is not a surprise. And the second one is the support and maintenance cost is another big spike right there, which is another not a surprise type of situation. So let's give 5 more seconds and I'll close the poll and move on to the remaining slides. And do I have a handout here? Actually, I'll try to drag drop the handout into the webinar itself. Right. Okay, so application comparison, we and then the support comparison. So this is where the feature adoption and the new updates, and building a new support organization and change management, monitoring of custom jobs and custom processes, because usually it's not just PeopleSoft processes that you are monitoring, but there are a lot of custom jobs that are big into PeopleSoft. What's available in which scenario, and budgeting comparison or financial decisions. People tend to say it's a lower TCO on a SaaS application, which I disagree, and Gartner agrees with me. Initially it may sound lower cost, but over 3 to 5 year roadmap, the paths of the graph crisscrosses each other, and SaaS application tends to be a little more expensive, right? And security features, access to data. You do not have access to the database. You can only run through APIs and reports. So HIPAA and FERPA and PCI compliance and all of those are big built into our service offering of managed cloud hosting. And infrastructure comparison, there is no architecture change if you are with PeopleSoft, and you would basically have to redo the entire architecture of integrations and reporting with the other applications. And here is one important roadmap. PeopleSoft is currently supported, and published support date is through December 2027 for the extended support for 9.2 applications, the core applications at least, the HCM and finance. And they've already published and promised it can only go up, it cannot go down. So the managed services or managed hosting may be a good option if you have a lot of core value customizations and other things as applicable in as we discussed earlier. So let me find the file and I'll drag drop and share it in the handout section. So guys, hang on just a second, and thank you for your time. And let me share the last few slides so that you can download right from the webinar and not have to look for another email from me.
So while Kieran is wrapping this up, on behalf of ERPA, thank you very much for attending. Please do not hesitate to reach out directly to us or anyone else you might know at ERPA through the channel that we reached out to you. if you don't have an existing relationship. If you have an existing relationship, we are available to the method that you usually communicate with us. So thank you very much. And as we wrap up this webinar, we'll make sure that all the handouts and other documentation follows for those who are interested.
Yep, I'm dragging it right now. So yep, now the file is available to download from the GoToWebinar window. If you look to the bottom right hand corner on the GoToWebinar, it says handouts. So I will leave this window open so that you still have ability to download. And looks like I have a question from someone. Balraj, could you please type your question into the chat window, please? And then I can address that. Where did the question window go? Okay. Okay, so guide me to where the download file is, right? So it is in the handout section on the bottom right corner, or I can also send the handout through an email. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. And we will regroup on a future date. Thank you.